Hey friends, Pastor David here with this week's Midweek Minute. We are into the latter week of Advent now, just having shared the third week of Advent, lighting the pink candle, talking about joy. We talked this past week about one of the things that brings us joy, deep joy, is that when we find ourselves in the midst of some kind of brokenness, whatever that brokenness might mean, that somewhere along the line, Jesus Christ enters into that place of brokenness and stoops down beside us and offers to take our life and put it back together again. And when we realize that in those places of brokenness, we've come to the end of ourselves, we've done everything that we know to do to get that part of our life, whatever it is, put back together again. When we realize that Jesus Christ longs to enter into that place and help us do what we cannot do for ourselves, that brings great joy to our lives. And we talked over this weekend about the importance of remembering that when we face those dead-end places, when it feels like there's nothing that we can do to get ourselves out of the rut or out of the despair or out of the pain that we're finding ourselves in, we need to preach to ourselves. We need to tell ourselves what we know to be true about God. And that is that even when we cannot see a possibility, God has a way. I shared with you that little symbol from Ghana, the Genyame, which simply stands for except for God. That we need to preach that to ourselves. In every place of dead-endness, we need to tell ourselves, except for God. And when we know deep within us that God is able to do impossible things, there's the source of joy. And I challenged us this week to remember the importance, the critical importance of spending time daily in Scripture, daily in conversation with the Lord, because that's the fertile soil out of which our ability to preach to ourselves flows, and out of which joy and hope flows into our lives. So I hope this week that you will remember that phrase, except for God, and use it every time you face impossible places. And I hope that you will be intentional this week about time with Scripture and time with prayer, so that you can cultivate the ability to preach to yourself when you need to preach to yourself. Just want to finish with that little thing we ended with over the weekend. Don't let what you see make you forget what I've said. That's God. God says to you and to me, don't let what you see make you forget what I've said. I hope that can be a source of encouragement for you. This coming weekend is the fourth weekend of Advent. We are just days away from celebrating the miracle of Bethlehem. So I hope that you can be with us either online or in one of our in-person services. And until then, remember, keep looking up, and I'll see you later.